I'm having an existential crisis. What do I do? Ah, tricked you. You thought that was me saying it, when actually it was a comment on a recent video. I'm fully aware that my videos can cause an existential crisis, which is so mean of me you'd think I was like the devil or something. Because after you realise this world might not be real, it could leave you in a shivering mess on the floor, dribbling and mumbling something about life being a video game. And if you're not careful, the Matrix agents will come and cart you away into a padded cell. So these are my top-notch, biblical, mother-effing thoughts on how to cope with an existential crisis. First and foremost, what is an existential crisis? Well, the cynic would say it's just overthinking. But we know it's more than that, don't we? This is what the internet says an existential crisis is. An existential crisis refers to feelings of unease about meaning, choice, and freedom in life, whether referred to as an existential crisis or existential anxiety. The main concerns are the same, that life is inherently pointless, that our existence has no meaning because there are limits or boundaries on it, and that we all must die someday. The symptoms of an existential crisis manifest themselves thusly: anxiety, depression, feeling overwhelmed, isolation from friends, lack of motivation and energy, loneliness, and obsessive worry. I mean, I would be lying if I said even a god like me doesn't feel these feelings sometimes. You and I are thinking about the very fundamentals of this world, what it is and how it works. Things that the unplugged would rather never hear about. And it can make you feel quite lost in the world, because it's no longer the world that you thought it was. That's more sad and upsetting than being told that you've got to go and work with James Corden for a whole day. For existentialists, an existential crisis is considered a journey, an awareness, a necessary experience, and a complex phenomenon. It raises from an awareness of your own freedoms and how life will end for you one day. I often wonder, if Friedrich Nietzsche was a Rastafarian, would he have had existential dreads? Anyway, the main reason I think that people look and sound like NPCs is because they don't want their reality tested. If you convince them that, say, this world is a simulation, now they have to face the possibility of going through an existential crisis themselves, which could range from the upsetting to the downright depressing. And so it's fairly understandable that they would seek to avoid this by telling you to shut up or call you crazy and go back to their little world, staying plugged in, because they're not ready to be unplugged. They don't want to take the red pill. Sometimes I wish I had taken the blue pill.
This is your last chance. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
I'm just going to say now, I really don't like swallowing pills. Some people, upon awakening, express a desire to kill themselves because they say, if this world isn't real, what's the point? To me, suicide is two things. Number one, cowardly. Number two, is the final solution to a temporary problem. You're just stuck on a level, a very hard level, admittedly. But if you kill yourself, you're likely to just come back anyway and repeat that same level that you're stuck on, except there's no continue point. You have to go all the way back to the beginning and repeat the same level through multiple players until you don't kill yourself and learn what you were meant to learn in the first place. I mean, come on, do you really fancy coming back and repeating the whole goddamn life you've had already? No, I didn't think so, because quitting this life isn't really quitting, it's just starting afresh, like Groundhog Day, even though I have no idea what a groundhog is. Listen, I know some of you hurt sometimes. This feels like a shit world. Nothing makes sense. You had a bad upbringing. No one understands you. Things don't work out like you wanted them to. Now, I cannot possibly understand your personal experience because I haven't lived it, but I do know this. Everything is temporary. You're not here for long. This life is like a 3-minute ride at a roller coaster park. And you have a choice. Yes, you can make excuses and say, it's not my fault, it's not fair, why is life like this? But I had an epiphany on this. What if you came here, to this world, Earth, to feel those exact emotions, specifically the bad ones? Because wherever you come from before, my theory is that life is so easy there that you decide to live most of your life inside simulations. They have no real way of experiencing negativity or bad emotions or hardships, and so they choose to come here to feel them. It's like a drug. That's why this game is so popular, and there's 7.8 billion players currently logged in. Here's a cool little experiment that's definitely going to blow your mind. Stick with me and stay tuned. You ready? If I said to you now, as a little experiment, I'm going to give you $10 million. You'd say, yes, please. Thanks very much, Jack. But then I say, on one condition. I will give you $10 million, but you don't get to wake up tomorrow morning. What would you say? Obviously, you will pass me the money back, right? What that says is that waking up tomorrow is worth more to you than $10 million. Even though it's hard, even though it's tough, even though it's shit, waking up tomorrow is worth more than $10 million. Just sit and think about that for a moment. You should feel privileged that you get to experience an existential crisis. Let me tell you why. Because you've essentially woken up and are experiencing the toughest ride that you can have as a human being. If we imagine that this life is like a fairground, being you, you've chosen to go on the biggest, scariest ride in the entire park. You chose that. You might not think you did, but you did. The real you chose that. So, to get over an existential crisis misses the point entirely. You're not here to get over an existential crisis or get through it. You're here because you are the existential crisis. The real you chose it, and so you have the privilege of getting to play the best ride in the whole game.